Story comes to us from FortWaynesNBC.com. A former Muncie, Indiana police officer is expected to plead guilty next month in connection with a federal investigation of excessive force allegations against other officers. Former police officer Dalton Kurtz is expected to plead guilty to misprision of felony on August 4th in federal court in Indianapolis, according to the Muncie Star-Press. He's accused of failing to report a fellow officer that kicked and struck a teenager in the head after that teen led officers on a foot chase.
The Muncie man and his attorney say they're thankful after his charges were dismissed. It's the case of Lorenzo Reyes we're talking about here. He had 5 charges, including resisting arrest during a traffic stop and domestic battery. The Delaware County prosecutor says his office couldn't find the witness on that battery charge, so they couldn't prove the allegations. Reyes's resisting arrest charge involved a Muncie officer who's facing federal charges for falsifying reports.
According to the plea agreement, Kurtz failed to report the officer's unreasonable and excessive conduct and submitted a false report. The charge carries a sentence of up to 3 years in prison and a fine of up to $250,000.
4 Muncie police officers involved in an excessive force case have a new date for their federal trial. They'll have an extra 4 months to prepare. We followed this case for years now. 4 officers are charged with either using excessive force or filing false reports in an alleged cover-up. They were due to stand federal trial in late September. It's now set for next January. A judge says giving them more time will allow for a fair trial. This trial has been rescheduled 4 times already. The judge says she does not plan to grant a 5th delay.
And honestly, I did not expect to get in trouble after high school. I had high ambitions to be something and start a career.
Reyes says he's faced some discrimination because of his charges. He hopes this will help him move forward with his fiancée, who's expecting a child. Meanwhile, we just received a response from Muncie police on Reyes's case. Chief Nathan Sloan disputes some of the claims Reyes's attorneys made about the charges. He repeats Reyes has not been found innocent. In the statement, Chief Sloan says his department is dedicated to providing quality policing services to the citizens of Muncie. The prosecutor says there's no evidence that Reyes's report was false, but he says dropping that charge is in the best interest of justice.
If this case were to go to trial, if we did have the evidence, and we would have put that officer on the stand, that is what we call a crime of dishonesty. That is what we call a crime of dishonesty.
So here's another argument for recording the police. False report. Go figure. And people say, well, you know, cops have body cameras. I love that when we come up and we're recording, the cop goes, yeah, I got one too. Sometimes yours aren't on. Sometimes you write up a false report and the police department sees your video and goes, we're not releasing the body cam footage at this time. It's an ongoing investigation, which really is interpreted as, we've got to delete some of this footage. Let's build a narrative off this video. Delete that. Delete that. Keep that. Delete that. That's why I love my recordings, because if I delete something and edit, you know, it's usually that just standing around while the cop writes a citation. I don't delete out if a cop is punching somebody or if a cop jumps on somebody's back, or, that needs to stay in. Because you have to, sometimes you have to edit videos sometimes. You get a 22-minute, police encounter on video, and 17 minutes of it is them standing around going, waiting on our sergeant. People don't want to see that. But if they tackle the guy and start punching him, you need to see that. My point is that these false reports, and I'm going to do one on the LAPD here coming up, an LAPD officer alleged to have filed a false report. Get out there and record, guys, if you can. And I'm not saying you have to drive around and look for police, but if you're driving down the street and you see red and blue and they got a car pulled over and you have time, pull over to the next safest spot that you can, walk back there and record it. Your video just might tell the truth. Well, it will tell the truth, but I'm saying maybe that cop will file a false report and they'll go, there's a video on YouTube that says something totally different. Do you agree or disagree? Let me know in the comment section below, guys, how you feel about this.